Jazzcast Pros.
Welcome to the Healthy Illness Podcast, the podcast helping you build healthier relationships while living with mental health conditions. I am your host, Kelly Marie. I live with mental health conditions. And this week we are continuing the conversation with Justen Arnold. Justen with an E, Arnold, who is a trainer, an entrepreneur, gym owner, author, overcomer. We started this incredible conversation last week in talking about movement. You know, movement is our word, our topic for this season. And Justen shared a lot about himself and what movement means to the body, but also his journey. And so we're going to continue that conversation this week.
But I think some of the best information I could give for somebody is when you're with something, be so curious about them. Like, that's one thing I've grown with my wife and people in my life is like, I'm just so curious, which is like still to my wife is like, why do you, what? I was like, I'm just curious. Like, I'm curious what you're doing today. I'm curious what you're eating today. I'm generally curious. And it's sometimes weird to people because they're not used to it. Because you're used to going into a place where like the person is just doing all the talking and not like that curious anymore and asking questions and get to know somebody on that level. And especially if you're more introverted, you're probably not one to open up, I would imagine, right? Like if you're...
I will tell you my life story in 2 minutes if I get a good vibe from you. So I say that I'm not an introvert, but there's strangers out there that know more about me than people I've known for decades just because the feeling was right. But there's other people that I've met and they're bubbly and fun and wonderful seeming, but I'm like, I'm good. I don't know. There's just something about some people and those people, there's no filter. Like, yeah, when I was 5 and, then last week, I went to the doctor. So it depends very much on who that person is. But yeah, some people know me very well and others have known me for a long time, but don't know me as well.
Well, I think that's a way to get to know people too, like just being curious about them. And then, learn more. You'll learn more about them. I'm still learning things about my wife and we'll be together for, over 14 years. Maybe it's something doing something unconventional and different. Maybe it's going to a batting cage. Like I just came from my son's baseball practice. Maybe it's like, there's some cool stuff here in Rochester where you could take like art classes, pottery classes together. So my wife and I did one time, went on a date night to a metal workshop. We basically heated metal and bent metal and made little spoons and stuff. And it was like super fun. We basically we're blacksmiths.
Wait, I have no paper to take notes. I've got to text this to myself. That is really cool.
Like we were blacksmithing, but that's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Like, just be interested and like if you can work out together. Me and my wife used to work out together. We don't anymore. We do our own things, but we both work out. And things will change too. And I think you just need to find things out about your people. And then if you're new to a city, like my thing is, if you're a person of faith, that's an easy one to go to a church. But if you're not a person of faith, I don't think the bar is the place to go. Like you got to find other stuff like the gym for sure, find different community groups, like, especially as we get older, something I talk about with my wife, like getting good friendships. And that's why I'm going to go back to like find groups like sports teams, even if you're horrible at it. Like I didn't always play hockey. Now I do. I'm somewhat decent at it because I'm athletic, but I have really good friendships out of that, because of that. And it's competitive and like learning a new sport, like especially hockey or a sport you never play, learning a new sport as you get older as an adult, like that actually grows your brain. Cause it's like do it. Like people have heard the benefits of like crossword puzzles, or you always hear like, go drive a different way to work. Yeah, that's cool. You can do that too. But like play a sport you never played before and learn it at 43 or 40 or 35 or whatever. And that'll grow your brain too and your body, and you'll make some new friends along the way. Social connections. And the cool thing about sports, maybe you're single. There's girls there too. Like there's girls at hockey, your boys or whatever you're into. Like they're there. There's like people. Seriously, like there's people. And if not, maybe they'll introduce you to your future Mrs. or Mr. or something. Yeah. So it's like, we got to check ourselves, and we got to, I talk about this in my second book about comfort through discomfort. And I think too often it's the natural biological like psyche of the human brain that I feel is still very much primal to chase after the comfort, because right, like we go back 10,000 years, we're running from saber-toothed tigers and we're looking for food and mate and trying to grow our population. So comfort was not as much. So when we found it, we took a hold of it. So we're so trained in that in our brains but we're so full of comfort. I'm sitting in a comfortable chair. I don't have to go drive or fly to you. I can talk to you through a computer screen. Again, these are great things that we need, but also like it's much easier to say, I don't want to work out, long day at work. Let's justify it. I'm going to sit on the couch, Netflix. Oh, this feels so good. And it does. And I'm not saying don't ever do that. Let's be clear here. I'm not the health nut trying to tell you to go do 100,000 burpees right now. What I'm trying to say is, we need to get uncomfortable with things so our body and brain can be more uncomfortable. You don't like talking to people? You should go try. Go say hi to the next person on the street. Just make sure they're nice too. No, but like do it in a good, safe neighborhood is I guess what I meant to say. But like you want to get out of your comfort zone, get uncomfortable. Like working out can be uncomfortable, but it can bring a lot more comfort later on. Doing different uncomfortable things like playing a new sport, learning a new thing, trying something different. Maybe you wrote a book and you're too nervous to be on a podcast because you don't like the sound of your own voice. Get uncomfortable because your voice might help somebody. Like whatever it is, get uncomfortable because that's where the growth lies. Like chase that discomfort, that healthy discomfort, right? The mental, the physical. Like if you're not happy with any aspect of your life, there's probably something on the other side of discomfort that will bring you what you're looking for, that what you need and what you want. But you just got to get up. Like, I'll go back to the cleaning to give you an example so people really understand this. I would also justify, like, man, I have to work so hard today. I'm too tired. I'm going to take a nap or I'm going to get ready for bed. This renewed sense of energy that I have. We're doing this podcast. It's like 8:08. I'm 43, and I've been up since 5 a.m., and I took my first call at 7 a.m. and worked throughout the day and then coach. I'm not some superhuman. I manage my breaks. Just, I'm not like go from 7 to 7 or 7 to 8. I time some downtime. On my lunch break, which was 45 minutes, I ate and I meditated for 10 minutes. So like even that 10 minutes, if you truly disconnect from everything and just breathe, that feels like rest. But I don't think enough people even do that. So this is what I'm talking about. And I threw a lot out, but hopefully you guys are grabbing what you need here and the tips. It's like, let's be honest with that. That can be discomfort, because comfort is looking through your cell phone. And even though you're comfortable almost in the anxiety and you're like stressing about work. So let's not think about work, but let me look at this and let me scroll through Facebook right now, because then I don't think about life. I can look at everybody else's life. But what if we put that down and address our life and just sit here and breathe? Okay, I don't like these thoughts, but let's renew them. Let's renew my thoughts. Okay, let's talk positively to myself. Let's do these things in my mind. Let's spend some time myself. I am in this skin suit for the rest of my life, and it's the one thing I really don't invest or spend much time in because I'm so connected to everything else, and I'm so disconnected from myself.
That's what you're preaching tonight. This is good. I am Christian, and we have a women's group every third Friday of the month. Usually we're doing like women of the Bible or, like that kind of stuff.
I love it. We're reading Ruth next week in church. I'm excited about it.
So I
didn't mean to throw you off.
I thought there was something missing. And I'm like, we have Bible study, we have Sunday service. Like this time of like women fellowshipping together, I think should be different. And so I was talking to my pastor and our leading lady, and she and I kind of, we're like, listen, let's just focus on the other pieces. So now we're taking this monthly get together. We still eat, we still fellowship, we still talk, but we're adding the holistic side of all the other things. We have this one temple. This is the only body you get. We're not taking care of it well, whether it's mentally, boundaries, food, all of the things that we're not paying attention to. We spend a lot of time learning and studying and reading the Bible, but how do we take that and then use that to make the physical body better? Everything that you're saying is a part of the work that we're talking about doing. So once a month, we're going to Do stretching. We'll do yoga. Are going to have a dietitian come in and just talk about foods and how they work in the body. We are going to do line dancing, hustle for health with Jazzy. We're going to take the time to just do different things, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all of it.
Yeah, and we're so disconnected. Like how many people, and I'm guilty of this sometimes in the past, not anymore, but like are on their phones while they're eating. I'm not saying don't ever do that, but also like if you're disconnected from your food, your body reacts that way. If it's not, the more connected you are, the better it tastes for one, especially when like healthier food, like not only better that it tastes, the better it digests. But like if we're always in that rush state, like we're eating food fast, if we have a unhealthy connection to our food, meaning like, oh man, I'm eating bad food, man. Well, we're telling our body we're putting toxin in it already, even if it's really not that bad. Like it's just how things work out. And so I love that you guys are doing all that because it's all important. And I think some people overthink it. Like if they're not doing any of the things, if you're not moving, if you're not eating right, if you're not where you want to be spiritually, like mentally, wherever, like take it one step at a time. Like you got to think of this whole thing as a marathon. I know people want to like, they go all in and then they drop everything out. And it's, like that's me, like, and then analyze it. But I would say one of the best things I've done is like slow down to go fast. And I mean that in this, like by taking those 10-minute breaks, I can come up or be creative, like in the shower this is going to sound weird, but like, I don't take my phone in the toilet. Like a lot of people I hear do, like these are times to think. And when you think and you give your brain rest, that's where some of the best, most efficient ideas can come from. Like you would never tell somebody to do push-ups all day long, but yet we continually run this. And like it may not take much thinking to like watch Netflix or scroll through social media, but it drains the brain's energy because your eyes are connected right to your brain and you're seeing so much at a rate that the brain was never built to do. And again, I'm not judging. I'm just stating I know, like, but I'll tell you from the other end of that, like I was there at one point because of being a business owner, anxious, trying to disconnect by connecting even more. And as soon as I started like pulling these things away, and people probably heard this before, it's amazing how much clarity, how much I see things differently, how much more time I actually have, how much more productive, how much more energy, all the things from simple stuff. So, but hard.
And all of this is movement, right? Putting the phone down, movement, being mindful in eating. That's movement, moving of the brain, moving of the body. I started
breath. People are disconnected.
Breathing.
People
right?
I work with some people that can't even breathe right, and like they never thought about breathing. I'm like with my baseball players. With any team I work with, one of the first things I go over is breath. I noticed right after their sprint, they're all mouth chest breather, which slows you down and stresses you out even more. Nose, diaphragm, like control it. Like I've taught people how to control breath through burpees, and guess what? They get better at that. Like you need to like meditate through as much as you can through your life. You need to have control of your breath because once you lose that, you start to lose everything. You got to be connected to your breath. It's so important. The Bible talks about it, but we just seem to read over that or miss it.
It's not one of the juicy bits, I think. That could be a whole nother conversation.
Oh, yeah.
So much is missed for many reasons, but paying attention to the small pieces, they're just as important.
You said that about my book. Yeah. Pieces. Yeah. It's small steps daily. Like if you take any professional athlete, they want to win the championship. Like they want to win the Super Bowl, but they're not thinking of the Super Bowl day one. They're thinking about day one. And then day two, and then they're not even thinking about the end of the game. They're thinking about this play.
Yep. This play. Yep.
Because if you do more plays better and better and better, then you'll have more yards, and more yards equals more but so many people are thinking up here or back here and not right here. And we do that when we're always in a stimulated state. We're always in a stress state. We're always in a fight or flight state. We're not taking the time to slow down. We're not taking the time to be in our thought. Working out, I don't really listen to music while I work out. I never listen to it when I run. Best time to do some thinking. Like walking, running, exercise with you're listening to music sometimes. I'm not saying don't ever do it, but occasionally, like, especially if you need to get some productive work done up here, or maybe you don't have meditation time, like, turn off all music and disconnect your phone and work out. It's going to be really, really hard if you're not used to it.
Wow.
But tell me by at least the third workout you do that way, or the third run, or maybe the third walk, how much more your brain is like, oh my God. And if your thoughts are negative, you're already like, I didn't even realize I was talking so negative about myself. You can rewrite your story. You could
That's incredible.
rewrite the narrative. Yeah.
No, when I'm in nature, I'm in nature. So when I go for my walks, when I hike, when I bike, although sometimes when I'm riding my bike, I do listen to music, but that's normally like I'm going for a long ride and it'll be bits and pieces. Music is like, get home, Kelly. You've gone too far. So now it's time to get home. But it didn't cross my mind to do the same thing when exercising.
Oh yeah, that's what
because I've always taken
running.
It from a get it done, kind of, which is probably why I don't have a gym membership anymore.
We don't have to do that now, but you need to check that relationship with why you want to just get it over and done with, and not why you don't want to just be in the moment. That's why I enjoy running now, because I don't listen to music and I'm thinking whatever I want to think about.
That makes sense.
Or whatever I don't want to think about.
I don't think walking or hiking or biking, I don't call those are not exercise to me. I love those things, and so I do them.
Just call
back to the beginning of the conversation.
I always tell people what's part of your I always tell people just have a daily movement practice, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Some I develop with my clients is movement snacks. If they can't get in a 30 or 45-minute workout, sometimes just 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
That's good stuff.
This is fun.
Incredibly beneficial to me personally.
You got good energy. It's easy to talk to you. I'll tell you that. He wants to talk. My dog.
Oh my God.
He's camera shy, I guess, tonight. Come on.
I'm going to be an adult one day, and I'm going to be capable of taking care of more than just myself. And I would love to have a dog.
Dogs are definitely if we could be more like dogs, because they're love unconditionally. We treat our dogs well, but I know even the people that don't treat their dogs well, the dog still comes back. They are the no matter what kind of love. They are the Jesus love. Dogs are so great. He's smiling right now because they even had a study. I don't know how they did this, but they found that dogs think about their owners most of the day. And when they're not there, they miss them. And then when they're home, they just want to be in their presence. He just wants to stand there. He just wants me to touch him. I don't need to pet him. He's smiling. He just wants to be on my leg. Not that I want a human on my leg, but what we get so, again, in our thoughts and everything we've talked about on this show and our assumptions and our judgments and everything else, that we can't just love people unconditionally. And then we're sometimes thinking about what are they thinking, or what do they mean by that, or thinking way too much about. They could just be tired. You could have had a long day of work and it's not even about you, Right. But we make it about us, And
I think when you genuinely focus on yourself, you're able to focus on others because it's we take care of our health. It's not about us. It is about others, but it's also about us. But if we're healthier for our kids, we can play with them more, and then our relationship grows. Right.
And then our kids are coming back for reunions and not hating us.
Right.
Because we hung out with them.
My mom and we talk about that. She's like, man, I'm glad you guys like me because I may need you soon.
I'm sure she was a good mom, and she was around, and she was present in your lives, and you saw that she did the best she could. So
she did. She did through all of the things, So
anyways, your two things before I interrupt you 64 times.
I forgot one. One was about mindfulness and how I started my mindfulness practice instead of trying to find these 40 minutes, which, if you can't find 40 minutes, you need mindfulness. But I started with brushing my teeth because the automatic brusher thing is 2 minutes long. That was my way of starting my mindfulness practice because I'm going to be brushing my teeth every day. So that was the one thing where people said and then I end up doing it longer than the 2 minutes because the sense of peace, the paying attention, the feeling, going through all the senses just to start was really impactful. One of the things that I thought of when you were talking about your relationship with your wife and knowing people is I would love to be able to, and see this happen more often, have people come together, couples, friends, whoever you're close to, and just have a reconnection. Based upon who I am, 47, if you've known me for 20 years, I am not the same person that I was. But who you met 20 years ago is still a part of your understanding of me. So what assumptions do you have about me? So this takes a lot of conversation, a lot of self-awareness, a lot of being able to hear some difficult things from people. But how can I dispel some myths maybe, or some things that were true that are no longer true, and have you see me as who I am today? I think relationships sometimes grow apart because we're still with the person from 30 years ago, and we don't get to see the person that we are, that person is today, the journey, the growth, the change, all of the things.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I'm a way different person now than I was even 5 years ago, 10 years ago, definitely 20 years ago. And
things, awesome. That I would not have allowed 5 years ago or, whenever that the boundaries we set when we're setting up a relationship may have changed in different ways, but that person is still respecting those initial boundaries. How has life changed? Like, oh, that's not a thing for me anymore. I wonder why we don't do that, but we didn't do it because you were a stranger. Right. So, but now here we are in this relationship. So that's totally on the table.
Yeah.
Whatever
and
that thing may be.
And I would even say relationships, that's part of like developing a strong relationship, is accepting people's positive changes, right? Like if it's negative, you want to intervene, but you also, they got to want the change. But like if it's a positive, but it's different, it might seem foreign to you. If you really love the person, then you just got to be them for that change. And like, don't feel like you need to change, but just, if it's positive, don't get to, I think too many times we see like, oh my God, why are they changing? Like, and then they get defensive and we make it about us again. Like be there, love them, serve them, be that person for them. And just, this is part of it. This is how long relationships, whether a marriage or a friendship, can last, is if you're both growing together, know that growth, things are going to change. Like coal to a diamond, obviously long change, but like, and just be there to support them, just like the dog. Unconditionally.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much
no problem. Thank
for
you.
taking time out. And it was such a good conversation.
It was fun.
They don't always go this well.
Well, I appreciate it. I like to talk sometimes and I like to listen. And this just was one of the ones I had no problem talking at 8:00 at night. So
clients, if people are interested in working with you, do you do work with folks outside of the Rochester area?
Yeah. Most of mine are. In fact, I've gone more virtual, and that's where I'm shifting my business to. And I don't even know how much longer I'm going to have my gym space, because I'm doing so much more online and virtual and workshops, and everything has got turned that way. You got to work with the times, but how you can contact me is, like I said, you could just Google Justen Arnold with an EN. Otherwise, you can go to justenarnold.com, JUSTENARNOL.com, or my gym website is flexmp.com, FLEXXMP.com. I'm also very active on Instagram. And like she said earlier, you can look at my link tree there. I've got a link to a free journal that I made for anybody to go get that. And I believe in journaling, like we talked about it. On that journal, it talks about what's my movement practice today, like we talked about here, and what's my food, and then other things like wins and losses and all that. I even have some challenges in there, links to my books. And just because I'm in the health field, I've been in it for almost 20 years, I have a lot of connections to things that I approve, and I only stand by things I use, products. So there's links and discounts all in there as well. So if you just have a question, you want to slide into my DMs and Instagram, and you're not trying to sell me something, I'll have a conversation. I'm a human being, and I like people, and as long as you got good energy and you're kind. And then I'm also active on YouTube. So I've got stuff on there as well. I'm on podcasts. I run one. Like I brought it down to like one episode a month just because of where my schedule's at. But it's called Strive 365. I think we've been going on for like 2 years now. So
on the places. Yeah. Thank you so much. Until the next time, like, subscribe, and share. Tell someone about this podcast. You heard from Justen Arnold, the author, the athlete, the husband, the father, all of the things. You are incredible, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing this space with me and the folks. If you're listening now, make sure you are liking, subscribing, and sharing Healthy on this podcast so that you will know when our next episode pops up. Listen, if you need someone to talk to, please dial 988. It is a call line where there are folks confidentially waiting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to speak to you, to meet you right where you are at the point of your need. You are not alone, and there is someone who is waiting to help walk you through this moment that you find yourself in. So again, you can dial 988 for a confidential and free person to speak with. Justen will be back in 7 days. Be the light.